everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Debra E. Leon, the president of ZANU Matter Foundation. My husband, Ignacio Leon. We are super excited to be partnering with Brendan Salisbury. We'll be talking with him shortly. In regards to October, it is Depression Awareness Month. It is also ZAN's anniversary, and it's our third year coming up for the Rock the Stigma event, and what timeliness that we are now able to partner with Brendan. As I mentioned, it's Brendan Salisbury. He is a 2023 Bezos Scholar, as well as a IB Diploma Senior at Barry Goldwater. Brendan, you want to, first, thank you for joining us today, but would you share a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely, thank you so much for having me. Well, hi, my name is Brendan Salisbury. I am in my senior year. Ironically, this is Depression Awareness Month, and tomorrow is actually my birthday, which is Mental Health Awareness Day. So a little bit of irony there. But yeah, so I've been working really hard to be able to provide resources. I am the founder of the first mental health club in the Deer Valley Unified School District, called Bring Change to Mind, which I partnered with a national nonprofit for, as well as being in a myriad of different extracurriculars. I feel like really my passion is being able to provide resources for students regardless of their socioeconomic status, their origin, or any other predispositions. It really is just my passion to be able to provide for other students who maybe don't have the same opportunities or the same education that I've been fortunate enough to have.
Well, thank you for that, and thank you for sharing and partnering with us, choosing this ZANU Matter Foundation to partner. But I know Ignacio had a couple
Yeah,
of
a couple of questions for our audience that is getting to know you from the ZANU Matter Foundation. So can you tell us a little bit more about the Wellness Center mission that we've taken on this month? From a 30,000 foot view, what is it? Why does it matter? Why does it matter to you, and why should it matter to us as a community?
Absolutely. So I will bring us back to that why factor, which is really how I got started, and that is I am what you call a twice exceptional student. So I am both tested by the state and labeled as profoundly gifted, but I'm also diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder. So that comes with an entire slew of issues and experiences that I've gone through, and so firsthand I know the impacts of mental health, and I know what it is to live in Arizona with our different resources for mental health. However, I've been very fortunate to have a mother who's in the mental health profession, and so my sophomore year I was approached in order to do a community change project, which was called the Sophomore Project. And so through this, I founded the first mental health club in the district. It's called Bring Change to Mind.
Okay.
That pairs with the national nonprofit pairs with the national nonprofit Bring Change to Mind, which was founded in 2010 by Glenn Close. And so through that process, I was able to pair with my school my junior year in order to build the first concept of the Wellness Center. Now, the Wellness Center in and of itself is simply a space for students to go when they are overwhelmed by emotion, they have trauma, they have something that needs to be handled that is too big for them to handle in a classroom setting.
Okay.
And so we wanted to set up a place on campus in order to solve that. I mean, you have your gym for your sports, you have your theater for your arts, but where do you go when you just need a break? Well, we wanted to create a space for that. And so at Barry Goldwater, what it looked like is my club as well as the school teaming up to redesign a sped room into a space where we would be able to welcome in all of the students who were going through different things. They scan a QR code, and then we set up different furniture for them. We have arts and crafts, we have some workout equipment, we have games for them, and really it's a space for them to go and decompress, but it is also a resource and is staffed 24/7 throughout the school day with qualified therapists, interventionists, whatever we have on hand to be able to help the students. So the two main questions that we ask are, how are you feeling, which is really important actually in identifying what the students are going through, and then do you want to talk with somebody? And so from a 30,000 foot view, the concept of the Wellness Center is simply to provide the students with the space to go when they cannot handle what they're going through, and then transfer on to, all right, well, how can I take the initiative to help myself through this?
That's awesome. What has been the number, like the students that have taken advantage of that wellness room?
We have been very fortunate and have had over 1,200 users to date.
Wow.
Of the Barry.
And that's in the time frame of what, a year of school, one school year?
About a
6
year and a
months?
half, yep.
Year and a half, wow, that's awesome.
Well, I think that's great because the needs of our kids today, and when I say kids, our high school students that we're zeroing in here, it's different than it was maybe when I was in high school in 1995, or whatever grade year. As society has changed, the needs have changed, and we're very much really focused on our kids, our high schoolers, mind, body, and spirit. What does that look like? So this sounds directly impacted that. For the current year at Barry with this Wellness Center, can you tell us a little bit more about how that is evolved over the last year and a half, and what does that look like today?
Absolutely. So really at its inception, the Wellness Center was almost misunderstood because it was like, what is the space that we have
you
here?
just lay down, or
yeah. It is, unfortunately, as much as an IB student, I wish it was nap time. It is not. But yeah, really at its inception, there was a lot of confusion because it's a very new idea. It's a very novel concept in a lot of ways. So through a lot of trial and error, quite frankly, we were able to establish the primary check-in. So the reason why that's really important is because of the fact that as teenagers, we'll often be caught up in our emotions, but we don't necessarily self-identify them.
Right.
And so just learning how to say, where am I on a scale from 1 to 10 is so important, because then it says, all right, what priority does this serve? And how low do I need to get that number in order to be able to go function back in class? And so that's a really, really good way. The other thing that's amazing about our Wellness Center is that it's completely anonymous. So there's no names ever recorded. It's only ever the number at which they enter, the number at which they leave at, which is some phenomenal data. We've been able to get students almost always consistently under 5s, which is really, really good emotionally.
Wow.
And then if they ever need to talk with somebody, and that's really the key, is so if someone, especially if they've gone through specific trauma, we want to have personnel there so that they don't feel like they're alone, and so that they feel like they're supported, because everyone needs resources.
Right.
Absolutely everybody, no matter what they're going through. And so we wanted to provide a hotspot for that. Later in the year, actually, I was fortunate enough, I started going and holding yoga sessions in there during our advisory period last year. And so that was really cool because of the fact that we got to connect on sort of a different level, where we were like, once again, teenagers in yoga, my friends. It was an interesting experience at first, but through a little bit of practice, we were able to get it down to quite an effective ritual, I would say. We got to really just center ourselves and be able to be aware of ourselves, both physically and mentally, and be able to connect with ourselves on a different level, which was really nice. And so those are a few evolutions.
Yeah, that's a powerful concept. I think when you think about sometimes what the society is throwing at us, right, as adults, as young adults, as going through adolescence, and how that can feel, especially when you can be in a room full of kids and still feel alone, like in here, like what do I do with it? Typically, I think the answer's just been suck it up or just bury it.
Yeah.
And we know those have consequences as well over long term. Going a bit deeper, and to give our audience kind of an example, can you share an example of a student, maybe an experience on where this has made an impact on an individual person, and what that might look like maybe over the course of the school year or a certain day?
Absolutely. So I mean, I couldn't necessarily speak for other students because of our anonymity, but definitely speaking from my own experience, I have definitely been able to make use of the Wellness Center simply because of the fact that, so I'll give a specific example. When we were going through exams last year, I am quite a few grades ahead in math, and so I had both my mathematics and my Spanish exam. It was my psychology exam last year. And we were studying really hard, and what I didn't necessarily realize at first, which I'm getting better at now, is the effectiveness of studying is only as good as the mental state you're in.
Wow.
And so I was able to go to the Wellness Center and reset, and I didn't talk to anyone. I really just went in there and I sat down and I was able to meditate. Something cool about our Bring Change to Mind Club is that we actually have a free subscription to the Headspace app as long as you're in high school.
Oh, wow.
It's a part of our official partnership. And so I was able to use that app, just put in my earbuds for 15 minutes and meditate and then go back to class, and I guarantee you my studying was so much more effective simply because of the fact that I was able to sort of recharge, reset, and I know I felt much, much better because of the fact that I was able to recharge a little bit and say, you know what, whatever is happening right now is okay, it's valid, everyone goes through this, and then I can go back and I can face it head on rather than just stressing about the stress.
Right.
Right. So like reassess, realign, center yourself.
Absolutely.
Back to it.
Well, sometimes and you know, coming from corporate America, I think that there's this thing known as stacking, emotional stacking, and you don't even realize that it's happening because you know you've taken on a big deadline, somebody adds another one, they add another one, you know, and so taking this, as you said, from a student perspective, you've got an exam, you've got a quiz, you've got another deadline, you've got an outside commitment, and all of a sudden you don't realize it, but you've stacked something emotionally, and you need to find a way, to your point with that state of mind. But we also know our staff and our teachers face some challenges in stacking emotionally, right? They're handling the kids of today, which are not the kids of yesterday, right? So can you give us a feedback from the staff perspective, the feedback you've heard from Barry on what it's meant, and you know, we mentioned it's for both. What does that sound like, and what have you heard?
Absolutely. So a quick clarification, I don't know if I mentioned earlier, is that at Barry in my junior year, we were able to establish both a student and a staff wellness center. Yes. Because of the fact that we recognize, and especially from my perspective, I strongly advocated for the fact that teachers are humans too.
Absolutely.
And sometimes the students don't necessarily see them, they see them as these like superheroes, almost, whether we admit it or not. We don't always say, oh my gosh, they could be going through such a hard time. It's when are they going to grade my quiz? So we wanted to give the teachers a space in order to go reap the same benefits that we have for our students. And so that space has been highly valuable. I would say some of the main things that I've really heard from the staff when they go into the room is they really like the bingo board, and they really like the positive messages that are left. And so we have a humongous whiteboard in the back of the room where staff can leave messages towards one another. And when I walked in there to either restock it with food, coffee, because we know that all teachers run on coffee, and some of that stuff, I see positive messages like filling the board, and it just makes me so happy because I know that this is not only beneficial for our students, right, because they get more emotionally happy teachers, but it's also creating a familial community within our staff, which is good for their mental health as well. As far as that bingo board, we actually give challenges to our teachers where it's to put their mental health first. And so one of them that I mentioned in one of my previous videos is that to leave the inbox on 0 unread emails by the end of the day so you can go home and relax. And I said, if you can achieve that, you're better than me. Because I don't know if I've had that luxury since about 9th grade, but it really is something that we give the challenges to allow our teachers to strive to not only better their teaching strategies, but to better their personal strategies so that they can make sure that they retain their love for teaching, because that is an issue we have in Arizona, is teacher retention. And so we want to address that, be candid about what it's impacting and how we can solve that, which really is through community connections. And so that's how we've been able to implement the Staff Wellness Center.
Yeah, I love hearing that about the board, right?
Gosh, I need to do that bingo 0. Oh my gosh.
But I think the point that you're making really with the Wellness Center and having the 2 spaces is when we're better personally as a person, as a human, I can be a better student, I can be a better teacher, I can be a better supporter, I can be a better friend in whatever capacities, but it starts with taking care of your self-wellness. And then as you shared with that messaging board, I can even give hope and inspiration or support to a peer and to somebody else. So that kind of creates an ecosystem that kind of fuels itself. For our donors and our supporters, we've already had some great support come in, and some of them that are considering. Can you help us wrap this up with what is the plan here? Once we're successful and we've got these funds, where does this go from? You mentioned it's now in Barry. What is the high level of this execution after we go from here, and give them an idea of what their support, whether it's monetary or even getting the word out, how is that going to roll out?
Absolutely. So I really want to emphasize that literally everything that is donated, everything that is provided to the campaign goes directly towards the Wellness Center. There's nothing that's being retained for any personal gain. It's actually interesting, as a side note, as a part of the Bezos Scholarship, I get a $1,000 grant as a part of that. However, it's very unique because none of that money goes to me. It is all for the benefit of the community. And so when we are receiving these donations, they go directly towards stocking the already existing wellness centers like at Barry with food and amenities and different things. But they also go towards the construction of new wellness centers. So we're starting in the coming months at Sandra Day. And we're going to also be starting at Boulder Creek with repurposing different spaces in order to fit whatever is going to work for the school. So like at Sandra Day, they have a much different clientele than Barry Goldwater. And so we're going to be helping to ask a lot of their students and their educators, what does it look like to them to have a quote unquote wellness center? What does it look like? It's probably not going to be the same as it is at Goldwater. It's probably going to be something different, but the hope is that it is equally as impactful. Right. And so we're going to be creating different creative solutions. We already have a myriad of partners. We've been very, very fortunate to have Monica Wood with her design company, and she's going to be helping us design a ton of these centers all across all of our schools. And so that's really where everything is going. It's all going back towards the school. And then any funds that are left over are going to be pooled into an effort to keep them going. Because what I would hate to have happen is establishment and then zero sustainability. And so we're going to be working very closely with administration, janitorial staff, being able to work with our different counseling and therapeutic staff to be able to make sure that we have a sustainable and an effective and really a customized wellness center for each school to address the unique needs and benefits that each school's clientele really requires.
Yeah, so the maintenance, the upkeep, you need a new yoga mat, if you need more of those bouncing balls or whatever the case may be. Yeah, that's important. I love that, sustainability.
Yeah. Well, I've definitely learned quite a bit. Brendan, you've got a lot on your plate. And as you mentioned, you've been gifted personally, but also know what it is to see the challenge. And as a father of 2 great, amazing kids, one who's in a high school right now, I just see that nothing but wins for our students and our kids, and what this can be and what this really can look like 5 or 10 years from now when you think about yes, academics is important, but also our mental health and our wellness and what that looks like. So I'll turn it to you, Debra, to take us out, and any message you want to share with our folks.
Thank you. You know that our appreciation is deep for you and your family. I see DVUSD, I see the state of Arizona, and then I see this impacting the nation. Like, this is huge, and I think that's why when we talked about it initially with you, Ignacio and I were like, yes, like, what do we need to do? How do we get it done? And so that's where this plea is to all of you who may watch this, who will share this. We have a goal of $25,000 right now. We are sitting at needing $19,000. I put a hard date of October 31st because it's just something that I like to do. And I was thinking, I could have pushed that out to December, but honestly, we can do this by the end of October. It's needed, and I do believe that it's going to bring change to mind, you know, and it's going to help our students, it's going to help our staff. And so if you would be so kind, no amount is too small. ZanYouMatter.org, XAN youmatter.org. You could donate there, you could donate through Facebook, through Instagram, and we will put all those links within and under this video. But we thank you for just logging on, listening to this, and for your support, because without the support of others, we can't do it alone. And ultimately, if you just help carry this conversation so that we can end stigma and continue to raise awareness while we provide resources, that is huge in itself. So thank you, Brendan.
Thank you.
And remember, you matter.